Delphine. Today I am so lucky to have the very famous Gabrielle Clay from downtown Montrose at Studio14. Gabrielle,
Cheers.
thank you for the wine.
Thanks for coming in, Delphine. It's great to have you.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. So we are in her studio, downtown Montrose, Colorado. Gabrielle is going to tell us more about what she does and really more about how she uses this space and how she uses her talent to really highlight women and so much more. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up in Montrose?
Sure. So I'm Gabrielle. I actually moved to Montrose in 2020 during the pandemic. It kind of a scary time, but it felt like the right time to make a big change. So my husband and I moved over here officially during 2021, bought our house, and I had already had a photography business in place in Denver. So I was really excited to get over here and just have all these beautiful landscapes to work with and meet new people and just really get out there. So a year ago, in June of 2022, I opened up this studio downtown. And since then, I've been able to bring photography to life in ways that I never thought I would be able to when I was on the Front Range. So it's just really exciting to be a part of the community here. And we're just getting started, so I'm really excited.
Yes, we have a pretty amazing community here,
Yes.
I have to say. What I really love, though, is that from day one, you really kind of got emerge into the local community. And that's how we met, actually.
That's right.
And I really appreciate the fact that you kind of came in not with a I know it all attitude, but more of I want to learn and I want to know more about this community and let me be part of it. How can I be a better part of this community? So tell me how you do that.
I go to everything and try to meet everybody, and I really value friendship. So I was actually talking to someone earlier today about the importance of a good headshot or a good photograph. But to me, it's so much more than just snapping a picture of somebody. And I would lose sleep at night over wanting to know people and not just capturing something pretty, but really understanding the essence of it. So how do I do it? I do the really scary things. I put myself out there. I get up on stage and I talk to people about things that I think are really important in our community. I walk up to strangers and say hello. I go to meetings.
And we did the Ignite talk.
I do Ignite.
Yes.
I get up and talk for 5 very scary minutes about my passion projects, and I just, I put myself out there in ways that could seem really scary, but end up being a lot of fun. And as a result, just a handful of months later, I've got all these new great friends and supporters and people that are just really amazing in my life. So that's how I do it, and it's fun, and I enjoy it, and it's all very organic. Nothing is forced. I want to get out there and meet people, and I want them to truly know me, and I want to truly know them. So it's just very important to me that community knows who I am and what I stand for, and vice versa.
So what do you stand for?
I stand for so many things, but I was actually challenged this year to write my mission statement, and I did, and spent a lot of time just really focusing on the words that I put into that statement. And my overall mission, I actually own several businesses, and my overall mission for all of them is to make the people and the world that we live in a better place than how it was before we met. So,
I love that so much. So impacting that moment and that interaction in
That's
a way
right. Yeah.
For the better.
For everything we do.
Yeah.
We want to stand for just creating a space that is better than how we found it. Even if it's already what seems to be a perfect space, we can always make an improvement. So my job and my goal in life is to impact people in that way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I also love something else that you do that is very close to my heart, and I know your personal story because I think I'm lucky to call you a friend.
Oh, yes.
And so for me, Women in Focus is a big part of what you do and a really big impact on me personally, but also on our community. Because as you know, I donate back to the community, but I allow my buyers and sellers to pick. And I love what you do with Women in Focus because it's very targeted and very specific and intentional. So tell me about Women in Focus.
Sure.
What you do, how you do it, I know
Sure.
this is loaded, but also why you do
Why?
it.
Why do I do it? Yeah, I might start with the why first. About 10 years ago, I left a very violent relationship. My son and I escaped some domestic violence. It was a pretty scary situation. We were the lucky ones, in my opinion, in our particular situation. We had family, we had friends. I had a great job. I never felt like I needed to go to a homeless shelter. I didn't go without. But it was still a scary situation. And again, like I told you earlier, I tend to wake up at night worrying about others. So I woke up at night realizing that I needed to do more. And I'm a photographer. I go out and capture all this beauty in the world. And I thought, how could I use that to not only capture beauty, but tell stories and also be a part of healing others that are going through similar situations. So it took me a while to get it off the ground, but about 5 years ago, I started Women in Focus. And a group of friends got together with me and helped me learn how to shoot portraiture. We talked, incidentally learned that we had a lot in common and similar stories and things that we all needed to heal from. And this amazing group photography event was born. So I started hosting 1 to 2 a year, and lo and behold, here we are 5 years later, and I've hosted about 25 events. I just inducted my 9th Woman in Focus in Montrose on the Western Slope, and we've got, I think, 52 women involved. Numerous companies, numerous individuals that donate money to us. In fact, we just got a big donation from Josh Boucher today for $500 helping the Women in Focus cause. So big thanks to everybody that supports. But that's where it came from. That's the drive behind why. And we host these events usually quarterly, so about 4 every year. We get nominations from the community, from other Women in Focus, from me. You can nominate yourself. You can just go in and send an email to me directly, and we talk about why you would be a good fit for Women in Focus. And I know we've got you coming up to be one of the Women in Focus this year as well. Super excited about that. So we host the events, we raise money, and all of the proceeds and profits from Women in Focus are then considered, put into a pool, and we donate 75% of those funds to a cause that we choose. This year we're really hoping to support locally here in Montrose or in the surrounding communities on the Western Slope and really focus it in, whereas in the past it's been more of a national level. So this year we're really focusing on the needs here locally, because there is a big need. I don't think a lot of people talk about it, but there is definitely a need for it here locally.
I would agree with that.
Yes.
I'm heavily involved with that. But what I struggle with personally as a woman, and you know this because I keep pushing Women in Focus,
Sure.
is that it's hard for me to be photographed and
Sure.
and love myself that way. So how do you process that for women and help them?
Sure.
Because I do think that the group aspect of it really helps.
Absolutely. It really does.
Women encourage one another and boost their self-esteem. Tell me more
Absolutely.
about that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So every single Women in Focus event is usually 3 to 5 women. And these women, like I said, they're kind of handpicked through a nomination process. And we try to make sure that each of these women gets to know each other a little bit before they even set foot in this studio and we start taking pictures. So we do some questionnaires and maybe a happy hour if we can, or, some kind of method to get to know each other before we even pop in here. And the beauty of the event itself is when everybody gets in the room and starts encouraging each other about what to wear or what kind of makeup to choose or a hairstyle. It's not me doing all the talking, it's them encouraging each other. So they might walk in having been strangers 3 months ago to now being a part of a sisterhood who continues to encourage each other, not only through beauty or clothing or photography, but just overall encouragement and friendship. So during the event, we talk. You participated in one kind of as a coach. So we sit and we talk for probably a good half an hour before we even start shooting photographs. I share more of my story. I open up the room for others to share their story as well. And my responsibility is to gauge your comfort level and then work with that level to encourage and move kind of past some of those barriers. I've also had women that have come to the events and said, you know, this is really great, but I'm still too afraid to be in front of your camera. Is that okay? Absolutely. You know, if you come to one of our events, you know, there are any number of ways that we can participate during a Women in Focus event. I haven't had that happen yet. I've had one woman say, I'm not really comfortable with it, and by the end of the event, she was in a good 20 to 30 of our photos. So typically we're able to break down some pretty awesome barriers. We welcome difference. These ladies don't come in knowing each other necessarily very well. They come from a variety of different backgrounds. And I encourage that. I want these ladies to come in to learn something new about one another, to learn something new about a different background or a different culture or a different story. Not all the women that participate are survivors of domestic violence. In fact, I would say the majority of them now are not. But everybody has been through something or has a story that they want to share. And sharing that story in a small, intimate group really develops a sense of bravery that you don't realize that you have. And you break down those, exactly. You break down those barriers, and all of a sudden you've got this trust in this group, and you're just ready to conquer the world. And we leave these events just ready to conquer the world.
Yeah, I felt that when I was helping.
Yeah.
Just, you know, the willingness to share because we feel safe with other women that we barely know, though.
That's right.
But we feel safe pretty easily and just wanna, it's so relatable. I really enjoyed my experience personally.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, me
Can't
too.
wait to get you in front of the camera.
Yeah, anyway, stay tuned for that. We'll keep you posted. 6 months from now, we'll be like, here are the photos from the photo shoot.
That's right.
But I really wanted to talk about this new project.
Sure.
Tell me about Porch Portrait.
Yeah, so Porch Portraits actually started as a national project back in 2020 when everything shut down for the pandemic. So it was a huge issue for everybody, right? So nobody.
I know the one you told me about for. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I got it.
You got it. Exactly.
Yes.
Now you remember. Absolutely.
Yes. So, great real estate gifts from my realtors out there.
That's right.
This is a fantastic closing gift.
Absolutely awesome program. It started as a national program. I actually didn't start it. I just participated in it to start with. So a bunch of photographers from all over the country got together, and we decided, hey, you know, we should be telling the stories of what's going on with folks while we're in lockdown. You know, this is kind of an interesting time. Let's tell the story. So I did. I started doing portraiture from a distance at your home or at another location that we would decide on together. And we continued with the name Porch Portraits even after 2020. Because interestingly enough, people really like having their photos taken at home. You're comfortable, you can change your clothes. If your kids need to go and eat something or have a quick break or go play with a toy in between shots, it's a really ideal area for us to do portraits. Inside the house, outside the house, it's just something that's really comfortable. And it really aligns with my mission, again. So it's just something that we're doing that's making an experience better as you move forward. So you look forward to it if you're going to do it next year or 2 years down the road. And again, it's a way to highlight where you live and how you live and you know, all of the different features of either your home or your yard or your family when you're all together. So it's a really fun project. I thought that it would fizzle out after 2020, but it actually turns out that people would really rather, in a lot of cases, have people come to their home to do a session. So, I'm really enjoying that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the outfit change option.
Yeah, it's just comfort.
The kiddos and yes, I think that's a great idea. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how does that go though? Like what's the timeline? How much time do you need? And so on and so forth. How do we book?
Yeah, so you book right through my website. So we'll make sure that all the website information is provided. But it's basically www.studio14.gallery. So you can go to the website and reach me directly to schedule. Because I do things a little not so traditionally, I do recommend emailing me first, because what we'll do is we'll have a one-on-one conversation about your Porch Portrait session, and we'll get it on the books usually at least a couple weeks in advance is preferable. Okay. That way, I have time to chat with you either on the phone or go grab coffee, because again, my goal is to know you a little bit before I even start shooting the photos, because I think that also produces a really good product. Really having those personal barriers kind of broken down, because we're friends by the time I get to your house and we're doing photos.
Yeah, so everybody's comfortable with having you in their space.
Exactly.
Because that's what happens, really.
That's right. You're inviting me into your home or outside of your home, and we're wandering around finding good locations. So it's really good for us to have a personal rapport before I even get there. And then once we do the shoot, you know, it's about an hour that we spend together on site at your house. We can do in the house, outside of the house, or a park or a location close by, you know, whatever your personal favorites are. So we spend about an hour together taking shots. I have a really good shot list, you know, couple together, everybody individually, kids, you know, you name it. You know, there's about 20, 30 different shots that we'll take. You get between 30 and 40 images to choose from with a variety of different price packages, just like any other photography session. But like I said, ours is just a little more special, I think.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah. Well, and you work on the relationship before the shoot, which is great.
Always.
And then we have the woman in focus, but then we can also see you just for a portrait session, right?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
Tell me more about that, because I know I sent a few people here too,
You did.
like for professional photos.
Yeah.
And so how do we go about that? How do we book, and what's the timeline as well for that?
Sure. So we're pretty booked out. So it's always a good idea if you're looking at doing professional headshots or any kind of group photography for your business to contact us on our website again at studio14.gallery. Set up a time to chat because again, even though I love to do headshots and I can do the quick 20-minute headshot, I still want to understand the situation. What type of headshots are you having done? Help you choose an outfit so that it really represents not only your business but your personality together. So it's sort of a similar process, even though it's a headshot. I have done headshot sessions where, you know, hey, great, I'm really glad you were referred. Sure, I can fit you in tomorrow. Come on in. I typically will then call someone back and say, hey, would you come back in and just chat with me for a little bit? Maybe let me take 5 more and just try again. They're always better. So pretty much anytime I'm going to take your photo, you're probably going to end up, whether it's here in the studio or over the phone or meeting me at a coffee shop, you're probably going to talk with me for about 15 minutes before I take your picture. That's just the way it kind of organically works with me.
I like it.
So yeah, so that's how those work. But we are getting pretty booked out, but we're always excited to do headshots and work with businesses. So if that's something of interest out there, folks should definitely get in touch. We're looking at late summer and early fall when we could start booking those again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I can't really end this talk without talking about your favorite helper.
My favorite helper, Kevin.
Yes. Because Kevin is not only amazing, but he's so passionate about what you do too. And he's always so supportive of what you do, which I think it helps with certain moments or certain shoots or your last Instagram reel was really funny.
Wasn't it great?
It was really funny. I had a really good time. But I do think, you know, it's important as a woman. I think in the past I've always, because of my experience, back to Woman in Focus and my scars, I should call them maybe, or traumas. It's hard for me sometimes to either trust men or really accept that there are good men out there.
Absolutely.
And when I meet your husband, that's all I see.
He's a good one.
Yes,
absolutely.
He is one of the good ones. But I really like what he brings also. Sometimes he just makes this one tiny comment that changes the whole dynamic.
That's right.
And I just really appreciate that. And I think his presence is so valuable, but also his demeanor and respect.
Absolutely.
I'm sure makes a difference in
Absolutely.
Women in Focus and other things, just like we
It
talked
does.
about when you had your event.
Right.
And so let's talk about events, but I really, that day for me, I looked around the room, and from Josh to Kevin to Luke to these men that were present in the room supporting their women there.
That's right.
Was so meaningful, just as much as what we do, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Because sometimes we even have a hard time accepting that. So.
I agree. And this has been a big year, and Kevin has been a big part of teaching me that, you know, absolutely, the men in our lives who care about us and have seen us through these tough times care just as much about this as we do.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to accept that.
And we both have sons.
We do.
Who need role
and
models.
we have to teach them.
Yes.
Exactly. So having Kevin in my life has been that transition into trust again that I didn't think I would ever have. Right? It's true. You think you're never going to go there again. It's never possible. And then, this person walked into my life. So not only is he supportive and funny and great, but he's also creative, and he's an awesome photographer, and he's super duper helpful, and
he's a great writer.
He's an awesome writer and editor, and he's just a really good partner.
He wrote for Montrose Living, by the way. Great article.
Yes, perfect article. He not only is a perfect partner in all the businesses that we do together, but in life. So he's just absolutely amazing. And yes, back to just all the men who support us. The event that I hosted here last month really opened my eyes yet again to the fact that this is a global issue, not just a woman issue. And we do have support from all of these amazing men in our lives. And I now realize that the next chapter of Women in Focus has a lot to do with men. So I appreciate that.
And mentorship.
Absolutely.
Yep. And role models. And
yeah.
I could see that with my son. And I know you have one of those too.
I do.
But
yeah.
Like for me, it's, he just left for university this morning.
I know.
Anyways, we're not going to talk about that today. But it's important for me to have those role models in his life that are respectful to women.
That's right.
That are not just respectful, but leaders in what we do and supporting what we do.
That's right.
So I appreciate that so much in Kevin.
I know, me too. It's pretty magical.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So if you're downtown, we're at Studio 14. Remind me the address.
The address is 14 South Uncompahgre.
Fantastic. So if you come to the market, the
farmer's market.
The farmer's market, they're right there.
Right here.
Same area. They're kind of behind the tents, so you have to look for them.
Yes, please come back.
Yes, come back and make sure you find them. Look for them. But also look for these events. Gabrielle has a great page on Facebook and Instagram. Remind me your hashtag.
Hashtag Studio14 by Gabrielle.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And so we really would love to see you at these events. If you have a nominee for Women in Focus, if you have someone that you want to highlight and put on a pedestal that usually wouldn't do that, that is a great role model for you, please contact Gabrielle. Let her know that that woman in your life has made a difference. If you have been or are a victim of domestic violence, there are a lot of places in town that can help you, from Haven House to the Dolphin House to Gabrielle can really tell you where to go. I can help you as well, but make sure that you speak up and you let us know so we can help. There are so many resources in town. We are very lucky here in Montrose to have amazing nonprofits who are helping with all that. So tell me, what's last?
What's last? Well, I just want to kind of add on to that, absolutely. So the whole reason we're here is to promote safety for people that are in violent situations. So please do reach out. There are a number of resources, as you mentioned. I'm going to also post when I get my snippets and copies and in the feed, numbers you can call, places you can text anonymously. I know a lot of times you might be in a scary situation where you feel like you can't make a phone call or reach out on Facebook. So I'm going to get some resources to people out there that you can do anonymously and that can't be tracked on your phone. So those are very important resources if you're feeling like someone is always watching. And what's next? Well, we have 2 more Women in Focus mini events. We have several wine tasting events that we're going to do this year that I just started thinking about as you walked in the door today. It's funny how your friendship just helps me just get those chains rolling in my head.
You're like Delphine wine.
Right. What's next? We're going to start doing more events in here, and we're also doing a retreat in September. So up at Elk Mountain Resort, we're going to host a weekend event for Women in Focus. It's going to be a relaxing weekend with a little bit of pep talk and a little bit of photography, but mostly just a sisterhood of everybody getting together like we do at our mini events. So that's what's coming. I hope so too.
I would love it.
Yay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was fantastic talking about all that. But please reach out. There are so many resources. We will post these resources. We are here for you if you need anything. We're not just saying that, but also we want to highlight survivors as well who have been through thick and thin and now have their life together but want to share this story. If you're comfortable with that, it doesn't need to be public. Sometimes it's just for yourself to know what you've overcome.
That's right. Absolutely.
When you do these photo shoots and you can be, I am this strong woman I didn't even know I was. It's amazing to me.
It is amazing. Absolutely. Yeah,
So
it's a
thank you
beautiful
for what you do.
experience. Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Too.
All right, guys, if you liked it, subscribe, and we'll see you next week on Real Talk with Delphine. Thanks so much, Gabrielle at Studio14.
Thanks, everybody.